tell you, it didn't just start here. If you look at my track record, it's always been about equity. I declared racism a public health crisis in Cook County 2 years ago. And I woke up this morning and looked at the news, and our mayor, our wonderful mayor, is declaring racism a public health crisis in the city of Chicago. We took it a little further. We took it to NACO, National Association of County Officials, and declared racism and racial inequalities a public health crisis in the United States. So we know that racism has been a systemic problem. It has been the pandemic before this pandemic came. Why? Because oftentimes, we just heard Brother Denard talk about individuals being freed from slavery. But guess what? How many know that some people still not free? We are not free until we are free up here. It is mental freedom. We have what's called a trichotonic being, mind, body, and spirit. So we have to be free here first, and then the rest of the body follows. I am elated this week because we have had just an astonishing time virtually so far, but today is our first day in person. We have some phenomenal sponsors. I'm just going to make mention of a few of them now. Obviously, we had Malcolm X College, who you'll hear from in just a sec, Dr. Sanders. When we called him back in December, or whatever it was we called him, he said, absolutely, didn't hesitate, right? And then he asked me to pray for him because he was working on his PhD. I want to thank PepsiCo, because PepsiCo was the first out of the gate to say, listen, we're here to help, we're here to sponsor, we are here for you. Wave your hand, Armando. PepsiCo, he's representing PepsiCo right there. Give him a round of applause. And look, Armando said to me when I was first appointed that he was with me to the end of the line. And he has been that. I met with his dear boss, the president of PepsiCo, Al Carey. They said, look, we like what you're doing. When you need us to come help you in the community, we're there. And he's been there ever since. We want to thank Aetna. We got the wonderful people of Aetna who is here, who has just been phenomenal. Raise your hand, Dr. Emery. Just been phenomenal. And looking forward to growing our partners. And obviously we have Cook County Health, who you'll hear from. Give them a round of applause, too. CEO is here. And the last one that I'll reach for now, I'll be talking about them throughout the day. But this is a young lady who is a dear friend of mine and a sister to me, who is always in my ear giving me advice and advising me and telling me what to do and what not to do. And I've learned to listen to her. And that's none other than my friend and my sister, who is the president of Win-Win Communication, and that is Miss Winona Redmond. Give her a round of applause. We wouldn't have this set up like it is had it not been for Win-Win Communication. Her and her team has just been here for us to make sure that this is an exciting event as it is. And so we'll talk about some of our other sponsors as we move the day forward. I want to get down our list because we're already just a tad bit behind. And so Commissioner Moore is not here, but I want to bring up my good friend who I just spoke to you about, who is the president of Malcolm X. He just preached a sermon over there to me sitting down about the need for us as a people, number one, to stick together, but the fact that we can't be what we can't see. Amen. We can't be what we can't see. And I said to him, listen, for your healthcare classes, do this. Make sure I come talk to you. Amen. Because I'm a PhD myself in psychology. So give me a round of applause as we bring forth President David Sanders of Malcolm X.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Deere. It's certainly an honor to be here at this celebration with all of the dignitaries who are here and all of you are here in this room today. This is an important day. It is a celebration that should have occurred many, many, many years ago. And I'm glad, though, that it is being hosted here at Malcolm X College with an iconic leader that we have in Malcolm X for so many years being named for this college. So I'm glad to have this event here, and certainly Commissioner Deere, when he called me, I said absolutely we will have it here at Malcolm X College. And I want to thank all of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here today, and give Commissioner Deere a hand for his foresight and having that here. I do want to acknowledge a couple of dignitaries who are here. Certainly I thank Alderman Walter Burnett, who is the 27th Ward Alderman. That's my ward, and he is a strong supporter of Malcolm X and has been for many years, so please give him a hand for the work that he has done. He's doing a tremendous job. I certainly want to thank Alderman Scott, who is here with us today. He is a great friend of us. This is not his word, but he is a supporter of us here and the entire city of Chicago. So thank you, sir, for all the work that you've done. And certainly I want to acknowledge CEO Roca. We had a Zoom meeting. You know, that's the way things were being held. We had to have a Zoom meeting because of the pandemic, but now we are seeing each other face to face, and we got some more work to do. And so I look forward to that. And I appreciate you and all of the folks here from Cook County Health that are here today. So thank you so much, and we appreciate you. Let me just give a few words about Juneteenth, because I think it's really important that we recognize the fact that, yes, 1863 acknowledged the Emancipation Proclamation, but it was not realized by many individuals until 1865. In Galveston, Texas, where the Union Army came in and let people know, by the way, you are free. And they were held as slaves for 2 years after they were legally free. I believe we are still in that kind of situation right now. Civil rights was passed in 1964, but civil rights and all that it was supposed to bring is not the reality for many people. And many of the students that I have coming to this institution are not aware of all the rights that are available to them and the ability that they have. And because of institutional racism that's in our country, and we may not want to acknowledge it, but it is there, it is necessary for us to remove those barriers, to remove that cloth that is around them, where they feel like they're not capable of doing the work of a student. And I'm going to tell you that every single student can learn. There is excellence in every child. I don't care where they were born, what background they came from. I don't care who their parents were, what neighborhood it was. There is excellence in every single child. And when we talk to our children, we ought to tell them, you're going to be somebody. Don't talk about the wrong that they did. All of us have made mistakes. There's not one single person in this room that has not come from some mistake that you made. But I'm telling you that in spite of those mistakes, you made it to where you're at. And we need to tell them that you can conquer whatever it is that's in your way. Whatever the obstacle is, whatever the situation is, you are capable of doing great things. And that's what we live on here at Malcolm X. I have a wellness center to address psychological issues, social-emotional issues that our students have, because we realized it was stopping them from being successful. We have all kinds of equity programs to address money that they don't have to get into school, because that cannot be a barrier to you achieving your education. We address housing. We address food. Everything that is non-cognitive that before they told us was not a part of the educational experience, we said it is, because if it stops you from being successful, we need to address it. I need your help in our minds to address the needs of our students. It's absolutely necessary that we address that, and we also need to address what is going on in our nation. George Floyd was just a microcosm of what has been happening across the nation. And you're seeing people unlock things because we are finally acknowledging that this is a problem. And so I'm happy that you are here today. I know y'all don't give me an applause, but I like to get some feedback in there. So I want I like to get some feedback because I know that this is what's needed. And I want you to know that while I am on this issue, we are here for every single student that comes to Malcolm X. Every single student. I don't care what your background was, your race, color, creed, religion, ethnicity, it doesn't matter. Every single student that walks through that door becomes my son, my daughter, that it is my responsibility to ensure that they are successful. So send your students to this great academic institution. You won't regret it. It will be the best opportunity and the best time of their lives. Thank you so much. I don't know if I'm supposed to present somebody else. Thank you, brother. Give a round of applause.
All right, the next person, let's give him another round of applause. Dr. Davis, look, I'm calling him Dr. Sanders already. He is doing a wonderful work here at Malcolm X College. We couldn't think of no other way to do an inaugural Juneteenth celebration honoring it being a paid holiday right here at Malcolm X. So I am excited about what's happening here and onward and upward. The next person that we have is another dear friend, Alderman of the 27th Ward. I've known him for a number of years, but gotten to know him better being in office. And he really does care about his community, and he cares about people. And that is none other than Alderman Walter Burnett. Let's give him a round of applause.
All right, I tell you, Dr. Sanders made me want to say praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Thank God Almighty that we're here today and that we're able to celebrate this triumphant event. I feel a little challenged because I'm standing up here and I'm not a doctor, right? I just came behind two doctors who spoke very eloquently. Juneteenth means a lot to a lot of folks. I just want to thank Commissioner Deere and all of the commissioners at the county for doing what they did, for being the first ones out of the gate to have a holiday. I want to recognize everyone that's on the panel today, the elected officials, the administrator from the county hospital who I just met, my man TJ, who has done a lot for the remembrance of African American people. Of course, the president of Malcolm X College, as you can see, he's so passionate about young people going to this school. He's the only college president that calls me and asks me, can you help us get more people into our school, more folks from our neighborhood into our school, and I really appreciate that. Juneteenth has really left a scar on our community. We talk about a paid holiday where a lot of folks aren't getting paid on this holiday. There's still a lot of people that aren't getting paid on the holiday, for one, because they don't even have jobs. For two, some of them don't have educations. For three, some of them have psychological issues from the trauma that happened back in those days. That trauma has traveled through our community and through our culture for many years of self-esteem. How could you not know you're not free? Thank God that those brothers, those troops, some African-American from Illinois and New York, went down to Texas to let the brothers and sisters know that you were free. A lot of us don't know that we're free and don't have the self-esteem to know that we can do anything that anybody else can do. But it's up to us to make sure that this holiday is not just a paid holiday, that it's a holiday that we play forward and over again to remind our folks of what happened back then. How folks took advantage of us at that time. People was making money off of us at that time for 2 more years. 2 more years, our folks were being used for them to make money. And abused. So we have to remind folks that don't just take that as being an inspiration to be upset. Take that as an inspiration to do better. Take that as an inspiration to make sure everyone knows that we can do better. That's what we need to do. We need to let everyone know Juneteenth means that we need to let our folks know that we are free, we are capable, and we have the world ahead of us, and we can do anything that we want to do, and we just need to recognize it psychologically and get out of that psychological low self-esteem mode and build up our self-esteem and recognize that we are great people and we're God's folks and we're just like everyone else. We should and can be treated equal, and we need to take advantage and stand up and continue to push for equality in this city, this state, and this country, because we're still not all the way there. We need to keep on pushing, and we need to continue to put ourselves in a position where we can't be denied. This is a first step toward, talking about a paid holiday, this is the first step toward trying to get a paid holiday of reparations. So we need to continue to try to get reparations so we really can get paid for that holiday and all of the other holidays that we celebrate that supposed to lead toward us being free in this country. Thank you very much.
All right, we are thankful for Alderman Barnett. The next voice you will hear, thanks sir. The next voice that you will hear is none other than another good brother who is a partner in good government. I've known him a really long time. He has been a mentor. Even though I'm a few years older than him, he's still been a mentor to me as I transition into the political world. He is a family man, one that's going to tell it like it is, and that is none other than my partner in good government. We work together day and night for the benefit of all people in the 24th Ward and beyond. Michael Scott Alderman. Give him a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good morning. So I just want to thank Commissioner Deere and his effort with Juneteenth. I'm actually supposed to be in a committee meeting, but I could not be here and represent kind of what he's doing. He came to me, I think about a year and a half ago, even before the pandemic, and said, hey, listen, what we really need to do is start to celebrate Juneteenth as a holiday here. And I think this is before he even made the submission to the county board. Said, hey, we need to, on a west side level, we wasn't even talking about a county or a city level, start celebrating Juneteenth because of its importance. And, you know, it resonated with me because I went to school with T.J. Crawford down at Morehouse College, and the first time I had ever heard of Juneteenth was down in school. You know, being here in Chicago is not something that we had often celebrated. It's not something that was widespread until recently. And so being down in Morehouse, in the South, where this holiday originated, kind of told me the story of justice denied. Walter Burnett just talked about justice denied. President Sanders talked about justice denied. And to be on a plantation, building this country, building, what this country is made on, for 2 years after you were freed is justice denied. And that is something that we are still searching for right now. If you look at the parallels between what happened in Texas between 1863 and 65, if you look at the parallels then and kind of what's happening now, it is what we're dealing with right now with our penal system, with our economics, with all of the things that we as black people are trying to achieve. It is justice denied. And until we are able to recognize that and recognize this holiday and recognize all of the contributions that we as African Americans have made to this country and celebrate those and work on reparations and work on all of the things that we need to do to kind of even the playing field, we'll always be in that. And so I think that's what, to me, Juneteenth means. And I hope that we can continue to educate folks around that. This crowd is pretty sparse right now. So I think our challenge is everybody that's here, everybody that supports this movement, is to continue to move this forward. I know that Dr. Deere wants to make this the most preeminent celebration in the country over the next couple of years. And so it is our challenge to make sure that that happens. here in the city of Chicago. So it resonates across the Midwest, it reverberates across the country, it reverberates across the world. And it starts here today. And so, Dr. Deere, I appreciate all of your hard work. You don't understand how hard this young man has worked to make sure that this comes to fruition. And we need to celebrate, honor, and continue to push this moment forward. So thank you, Dr. Deere. Thank you, everybody that is here. Let's continue to move this ball forward because it is something that is necessary, not just here in Chicago, not just in the state and the county, but in the entire country. And this is the place to do it, right here in Malcolm X College, with all of the great history that is involved here in the city of Chicago. Thank you, Dr. Deere. Thank you all for being here.
All right. Thanks so much, Alderman Scott. We appreciate you very much. Now we'll switch gears. The next person that you will hear is not an elected official, but he is someone that came from New York to Chicago, and in 7-8 months has worked wonders. He has hit the ground running in one of the largest hospitals and hospital systems here in the state, and that is Cook County Hospital, Health and Hospital System. We call it Cook County Health. I am thankful for him because the first thing he came in and said is, we got to make sure we push equity. And he didn't just say that, he put his money where his mouth is, and hired a chief of equity, a chief equity officer in the hospital. So he wasn't playing. And so he has great plans. I'm glad to have him. I'm looking forward to continue to work with him. The CEO of Cook County Health, Mr. Israel Roca. Come give us a word.
Good morning, everyone, and I'm very, very happy to be here. As you said, I'm Israel Rocha. I'm the CEO of Cook County Health. I'd like to start by thanking, I always say, Dr. Commissioner Deere, who's with us today. Also, Dr. Sanders for your leadership in making and having this institution be here, because without your help and your assistance, we really wouldn't be able to run a hospital. It's the training and the work and all the vibrance that the students and the educators do here at Malcolm X that allow us to have this facility. So thank you for your leadership in doing that. And also thank our two aldermen who are with us, Alderman Burnett and Alderman Scott, who are for their leadership here in the city, and also my colleague, Deputy Chief of Staff Roberson, who helps us to make sure that as a government-funded program that we stay in operation, making sure that we're here. And all of our panelists this morning are here to make sure that we advocate for what we do. I'm also wanting to thank the leadership of Commissioner Deere, President Perkwinkle, Commissioner Moore, who couldn't be with us, and all of the members of the Commission for organizing this special event, which is to celebrate and to recognize Juneteenth as a holiday here at Cook County and taking that leadership. You know, oftentimes you hear questions about why we celebrate a holiday and why it's so important. A holiday has many things. It is a time for celebration, but it's also a time to remember. And I think that is what's so special about recognizing Juneteenth. Juneteenth reminds us that the work is never done. And that even though we had a celebration, we had a moment, we needed to make sure that that work continues and that work is there. There's a saying that I always remember, which my mother used to tell me, which was, life is what happens when you're busy doing something else. And she would tell me that when I would postpone cleaning my room, or not eating my vegetables, or doing something else, and I'd be like, tomorrow, she'd be like, son, you know, life is what's going to happen to you without your planning when it's busy doing something else. And so a holiday is a time for us to step out from our daily schedules, from what we do, and to remember what needs to be done. And I thank the leadership of Commissioner Deere and his vision for reminding us that the work of equity is not done. What we need to do to make sure that our country is inclusive and responsive to every citizen and every resident in our borders and who we are as people, and the symbol that we want to send to the world is not yet done. And it's a day of planning, a day of remembrance, and a day of celebration of what we can do and what we can do. And so Commissioner Deere, and to all of the members who got this started and how quickly people follow the idea and your leadership, thank you for being the leaders that you are for making this happen, because we have much work to do. At Cook County Health, I was very pleased to bring in Shannon Andrews, who's right here with me, our Chief Equity Officer. She was my first hire, and I said that equity was important because equity also means an availability to be home, to know that you're somewhere that everyone sees you, respects you, and holds you equitable. And so that is really why it's so important in a healthcare system that we have that we're building that in every aspect of what we do. We want to make sure that our patients know that when you're hurting or you're in pain, all you have to do is reach out to us, and that we're going to be your home, we're going to see you, and make sure that everything we have says you're home by treating you as you would a family member, no matter who you are, and no matter what your background, race, ethnicity, gender, identity, qualification, or other is, that we are here for you. And that isn't just in our rendering of care, but it's also in how we build our organization, who we hire, who we celebrate, who we do business with, and how we work. And so our Equity and Inclusion Office is also a little bit different than most. All of our procurement and our business initiatives are also part of our Equity and Inclusion Office to send a message that when you do business with Cook County, you have to have equity as the principle in its core. I think that's where we want to go. For far too long, our country has had to wait, and we've been told to wait. I think today's celebration is a recognition that the waiting is over, and that we need to plan for what can be today. And so I thank for the leadership of what this means and who we can be. And for healthcare, I'll send what our equity message is, and we're here to all celebrate a story. So for me, my goal of what I will be planning on Juneteenth is how we can make our institution equitable and how we can make healthcare a human right. Because healthcare is how we live and live. And so what does it mean for healthcare to be equitable? We do have Cook County Health, and we are so honored and proud to be celebrated and to be supported by the community, to be able to run things like our public health department to ensure that we have health and safety, our hospitals, our health systems, and availability. But like most health systems, we struggle. We do have sometimes bigger challenges than others. But having greater challenges is no excuse to not be the very best. And we do also have to recognize part of equity starts by identifying where we are and where we have to go so that we can overcome those gaps. We still do have some elements of a two-tier care system. We do not have, when we look around the country, we celebrate our best healthcare institutions, and who's in the top 10 in the United States, who's the highest credible, and we see that there may be a little bit of elements of two-tier systems. There are hospitals that have 80% private insurance patients. Not hospitals are most inclusive, and that's why we're so happy this year to be recognized by the Loan Institute, which looks at diversity and inclusion in hospital leadership and management, to be the most inclusive hospital in the state of Illinois and center in the country. And we want to own that, but I want the other list too. For me, when healthcare equity has been achieved, there is no two-tier system. That means that there will be public institutions in that top 5 in the News report for having the greatest, best access that healthcare can provide. That we will be on every list, and I know that it means that we'll have to work harder, and that we'll have to work harder than most to overcome challenges, because that's just the way it is. We've always known that how we got here was we sometimes have to work twice as hard, and we have to put in the effort to make sure that equity is achieved. And I can say that our promise today, and will be on Juneteenth, is to be planning how we can ensure that Cook County Health will be there. We will be the most inclusive, the most diverse, the most welcoming, and we will be on the list of News report for having the very best clinical excellence anywhere. And when that day comes, then we will be able to celebrate that we have achieved another milestone, that there is no more two-tiered system. Because we're a hospital that has the ability to help and provide care to everyone regardless of the ability to pay, that universal healthcare access and healthcare as a human right is real and is present, and that everyone can get the highest caliber of medicine no matter who you are. And that is our mission, that is our target, and we will not rest till we get there. And I want to thank the Commissioner and the leadership for giving us a day to plan, because sometimes equity takes planning. It takes time out of that moment to step aside and say, where are we, where do we need to go, and make plans. And I thank you for giving us this day. We'll be planning, we'll be working, and thank you for giving us that time for that celebration and for all your leadership that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. We certainly thank Mr. Roca, who is doing such a fabulous job at our health and hospital system. We're appreciative. We got a couple more left. We want to, we want to say, we want to now hear from a good friend of mine. When I met him, he was not with the county. I believe he was over some entrepreneurship program, or maybe with the with the Chamber of Commerce. Is that when I met him when he was at the Chamber of Commerce, but since then he is with the county. He is a fraternity brother of mine. For most people that know me, I typically have something purple. So today is just one of those off days that I didn't wear nothing purple. We are men of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. John Robeson is a brother of mine inside of the frat, and just like a brother to me, he helped us very closely on the passage of this Juneteenth legislation. He is here representing Madam President Toni Preckwinkle. She wasn't able to be here. We're going to have him come up and say some words. John, we appreciate you, appreciate all that you do. Most people don't know the lift that you did and the advocacy that you did with us and for us around Juneteenth, and I just want to say thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner Deere. Being Baptist, I learned a long time ago that once the sermon's been preached, just say amen and move on. So the sermons have been preached, but I just wanted to, on behalf of the President, to thank Commissioner Deere and to thank Commissioner Moore in his absence for their leadership around this issue. The celebration of Juneteenth as an official county holiday is more than just about a paid holiday. Our budget documents are a reflection of our values. They speak to what we find important. They speak to the things that we as government and we as the people have decided are important for our government to ensure that every single citizen is provided equal access. But we've learned that it's not just about equality, that it's about equity. And equity is when I advocate for you to have the very best of what I have. That it's not just about making sure that a neighborhood gets housing or have access to health care, but that they have the very best health care, the same type of health care and the housing that I have. And so when we advocate for those things, when we advocate in our budget documents for these types of things, this paid holiday is a reflection of our values as a county and as the people of Cook County. And so I am so excited and very happy that Commissioner Deere and Commissioner Moore led the effort on this, and that the President and the board were so supportive of it. So today is not just about a day of celebration for barbecues and going to parties and things like that. It's a celebration of realizing that we didn't leave people behind. That those slaves that were in Texas who didn't know for 2 years that they were free, that this is a recognition that we will never leave people behind. That we will do everything that we can to ensure that those who are struggling, that those who are still facing challenges and barriers to what we have defined as the American dream, that we all are still about the work of making sure that dream is realized forever. So thank you very much, Commissioner Deere.
Thank you. All right, last but certainly not least is a good brother who I have gotten to know really well over the last 2 or 3 months. Had seen him in action, had heard about him, but never had an opportunity to get to know him. And throughout the creation of Juneteenth, Illinois, which he is a committee member of, and actually served as our program committee chair, I am thankful to be introducing him this morning. He is a very hard worker. He is the founder and established Black Culture Week, which everything that you would experience here is part of Black Culture Week. We started out Monday and going throughout the week. And so I'm very, very thankful for his work, for his leadership, and that's none other than my friend, TJ Crawford. TJ, come up and tell us a little bit about what you do and what you've been doing.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to first give all thanks and praise to the Most High God, to God's Word, God's Son, God's salvation, Jesus Christ. I want to thank Commissioner Deere for being so open to collaboration, for pushing so hard for Juneteenth, Illinois to actually take form for pushing so hard for Juneteenth to be a recognized holiday at the county level, being such an instrumental part of Juneteenth becoming a holiday on all levels of government, from city, county, state, and federal. I am the founder and curator of Black Culture Week. I partnered with a friend of mine, Lucretia Burtz, the Black Remembrance Project about 3 years ago. Black Culture Week started 4 years ago. And we started it because we wanted to bring a sense of hope, a sense of history, a sense of belief in the Black community itself, specifically for our young people. The theme for Black Culture Week is celebrate, commemorate, and collaborate. How do we celebrate Black people and the culture that we have created? And please understand the way that we define culture, because Black culture is not just for us a week, it's a concept that we call Black culture wellness, meaning that the practice of authentic Black culture will heal Black people, Black communities, and therefore help heal the world. For far too long, Juneteenth is just an example. Black folks have not been allowed to be themselves. Whenever we step forth to authentically speak, present, create, own, produce, as we naturally would in our God-given state, for at least a couple thousand years, but let's just stick to 100. There's been an active force that comes against us to put us in what someone else has deemed our place in world and society and industry or wherever it is that we happen to be operating in. The fact that there were slaves in the first place, but 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, still enslaved, when someone said, we don't care about what President Lincoln said, we don't care about what the law is, we believe your place is on this plantation continuing to do the things that we believe you should do. So we're not going to let you know about the law that says that you now have the ability to do whatever it is that you want to do. And unfortunately, even after that law became the law of the land, Black people have consistently had to fight much harder than necessary to be their authentic selves. And we could run down the line of hundreds, if not thousands, of examples that we could point to. I'm not going to be long, but I do want to say this. It's an honor to be in this auditorium at Malcolm X College. I don't know if y'all know the history of Malcolm X, but what it started as in the early 1900s, then when it turned into Herschel College, and then how did it become Malcolm X College, and why for however many years there was a red, black, and green flag that flew right before the Damon exit off of 290. One of my mentors, Henry English, and attorney Standish Willis, were young people in the 60s during the Black Power / Civil Rights movement. And they were part of this cadre of young activists that were pushing the envelope similarly to what we're doing here in the celebration of Juneteenth. They pushed for the changing of a number of colleges, and Malcolm X was one, right? So once they were able to infiltrate and do their organizing and have the commissioners, I believe, or the trustees change the name, they then said, we want to fly the red, black, and green. Folks was like, oh no, that's not going to happen. It didn't even come up in conversation. So these enterprising young folks, what they decided to do was make red, black, and green the school colors. So you had no, and once it was adopted, you had no other choice but to fly the red, black, and green because it was the school colors. It represented the idea and it symbolized the freedom and liberation and really the education and empowerment and the equity that Black folks, and really all folks, have long deserved. So in that spirit, Lucretia, myself, countless others, Cassiopeia, David, Peterson, there's so many folks that I can name, continue this movement towards full equity, towards full freedom, towards full healing, towards full expression in a way that is reflective of the values and principles that lend to the long-term health and well-being of black people. It's not culture if it doesn't have values and principles. It's simply expression. So we want to ensure that whatever we express, however we engage, whatever we build, whatever we wear, whatever we drive, whatever we produce, is undergirded by the values and principles that lend to our long-term health and well-being. So very happy, very proud to be on this stage with Commissioner Deere. Very proud to be in front of you all. Very happy that Juneteenth is being celebrated, right? I said Black Culture Week is celebrate, commemorate through ritual and tradition, and then collaborate to make new contributions to the culture. We commemorate the blood that's been shed by Black folks. We recognize the healing that must continue to take place to this day. And we work together, collaboratively, to make new contributions to a culture that will help heal us all. So thank you, Commissioner Deere, Dr. Deere. Thank you all for being here today. Let's make sure that this symbol is followed up by the substance that is necessary for our communities to be the best that they could possibly be. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, TJ, for your hard work. Thank each and every one of you all. Listen, don't forget, go and visit JuneteenthIllinois.com. That is our hub portal and our website if you have not been there. Lots of great stuff on there for you to be involved in. And make sure you enjoy this health day. It has been a delight to have spent a little bit of time with each of you on this morning. And we ask you to continue to enjoy the day. I believe I'm turning it over to you, Brother Denard. And let me tell you something. I love Brother Denard because he does such a wonderful job. I didn't realize he was as comprehensive as he was. I keep learning something new about this brother every single day because we're known to keep me up to date and up to speed. So, brother, I want to say thank you for what you're doing in the community. Thank you for your great radio show where you're educating people. Thank you for your video productions where you're helping to make sure you memorialize everything. You're doing a phenomenal job, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Deere. I'm going to move proceedings right along right now, and I would like for the panel that is part of the health initiative of this two-day celebration, and that panel, or the panelists, please come forward right now for the panel that is called "It is Not Over the Importance of Vaccinations, Updating the Community on Vaccinations and Testing." Is there anything we need to do with the microphones, because we have a wireless microphone there for them while they're speaking? Test, test, test. Test, test. Test, test. So is that coming through right now? Test, test, but I'm saying it's coming through.
Okay. Appreciate it, King.
Is the audio person here right now? Is the audio person here? She was supposed to have this taken care of. Yes. Are you the audio person? The mic isn't fed into the system. And it's only one mic for some reason. They don't have any of the mics up here. I'm sorry, panelists, please bear with us. It's just that do you have a, you know what? Let's just put a mic in front of the speaker for right now to get the panelists. And since this one's on, I'm not going to sit down. Testing, testing. Can we just put a mic, an ambient mic to pick up the speakers from up top for right now? Let's do that, okay? And we'll just have to pass the mic around. Everybody is vaccinated, so, yeah. And as soon as we get just a shotgun microphone to pick up the sound, we'll be okay, because we know how to make things work. And we are grateful to this wonderful facility in terms of allowing us to hold this very, very important two-day discussion. And, you know, just a little history about Malcolm X College and my association with it.